Mic check. A very good evening to all of you. My name is Rajesh Govindaraj. So I am a faculty of Geography and Environment here in Vision IAS. I will be taking this session on analysis of General Studies Paper 1 of 2021. I will be talking about the questions from Geography portion. So before we begin, I know many of you who are watching this session have written your mails this time, and I wish you all the very best. I hope all of you clear and reach the next stage. And most importantly, whoever had written this mains this time, I know the situation had been a little bit difficult. Many of you might have got infected in that process, and many of you might have faced many other difficulties due to the restrictions. In spite of all of that, you have successfully written, so congratulations on that part. So let's hope that you will all clear. And I would just say one thing: please do not waste your time till the result comes, because people just start to speculate on what would happen, what will not happen, cut off kya hoga, cut off ye hona chahiye, ye nahi hona chahiye, because until the result comes out, will not be able to tell anything for sure. Like, it's all going to be the rumors. Okay, whatever it is there in the market, it is going to be rumors only. So I would say just you have given your best, kafi hai. So you can see this session to just get a brief idea how exactly has your performance has been, and subsequently you can start your preparation for the next level. Fine. It is very important that all of you start preparing for interview without much delay, because interview ke liye once the result comes, there would not be much time left after that. So coming to those students who are yet to write mains, and that is they are planning to write in this year and planning to watch this, are going to watch this session with the expectation that how exactly they have to prepare. So definitely this is going to be of some use in terms of analysis of the previous paper and the previous trend compared to previous trend, how exactly the questions have changed. I'll all talk about that. So basically we have two categories of students who are watching this session. One who are given this mains and just watching this just to assess their performance overall level कैसे हुआ है ये समझने के लिए. दूसरा है कि and for whom this is going to be more useful is those our students who are preparing for this year and going to appear for this year and going to write in 2022. So so this session has two parts. The first, I am going to talk briefly about analysis part. Compared to the previous years and compared to the weightage, the nature, the section wise जो भी questions आए हैं, so compared to that how exactly the questions have been this year, and that is the analysis part. Okay, we will talk about that in the beginning. So then I will take up the questions individually and we will discuss the broad structure. Okay, the broad structure of each of these question, what is the exact demand and overall structure kya hona chahiye. Rather than that, like, please don't take it as some kind of model answer and in a strictly answer rating sense, because definitely what you are going to write in that 3 hours of examination time is going to be little bit different than sitting in a room with enough analysis and discussing करना, openly discuss करना, ये सारा तो अलग ही रहता है. So I am going to discuss in a broad view what is the overall demand of the question and what should be the overall structure. Okay, in some of the questions you might find we can add some more points, definitely मिल सकता है. In some of the questions you might think that इतना सारा तो नहीं लिख पाएंगे, definitely नहीं हो पाएगा. So the overall idea is to understand the nature of the question and the overall demand and उसको कैसे address करना है. Okay, लिखने का part आप खुद practice करना है. You have to practice by yourself. So you will understand once you start to write. So without much delay, let's start the analysis part, the first part. So as I said, we have few of the students who are yet to write mains, and let me start from the basics. Starting from the basics of geography syllabus. Okay, this is the syllabus of paper 1. General Studies paper 1, and the first part you can see the history, post independence and the world history, all of this part is there. And then finally we have the topics given under geography section. You can see I have highlighted in yellow mark, and this one I have taken it at as a separately in this slide. So overall we have 3 major topics under 3 headings given in this UPSC syllabus. The first part you can see is salient features of world's physical geography. Second part, distribution of key natural resources across the world. Distribution of key natural resources across the world. Okay, this is the first part, physical geography, world's physical geography. Second one, we can say natural resources across the world, including Asia, South Asia and Indian subcontinent, and the factors responsible for the location of primary, secondary and tertiary sector industries in various parts of the world. So basically this is about the various sectors of economy. Okay, this is second part. Another part of this topic. And the third, you can see that it is given as important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone, etc., and geographical features and their location changes in critical geographical features, including water bodies and ice caps, and in flora and fauna and the effects of such changes. So we can name this part as geophysical phenomena. See, I know many of even my students are watching this session. If you ask them, they would say the first thing I always tell our students is that you need to read the syllabus first. That is the most important, most essential thing of any UPSC aspirant should do before you actually start the preparation. You should clearly understand what exactly is the syllabus. So geography main syllabus, we can identify 4 different topics. Okay, 4 different sections. One is physical geography, second one is geophysical phenomena, third one is natural resources, and fourth one is, we can say, economic activity. Economic activities. Okay, that is what is primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. Okay, and if you see, this geophysical phenomena is basically part of physical geography only. Okay, but still UPSC has given it separately. There is a reason behind that, and there is clearly in order to highlight the importance of this particular section. See, whatever the part of this geophysical phenomena, इसके अंदर जो भी topics दिया है, earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone, etc., it is all whatever you are going to study as part of physical geography only. But still UPSC has mentioned it separately. उसका मतलब है you have to give more importance while reading these topics. First thing, and second thing is, you need to read in more depth. NCERT is not sufficient here. Okay, whatever is given in NCERT is not sufficient here. You need to understand the things in little bit detailed manner. And I'll show in the subsequent slide. Of the entire physical geography of the world and India, this portion has the maximum weightage. Okay, this portion where the different geophysical phenomena such as the volcanic activity, earthquake, tsunami, or any kind of changes in the water bodies or atmosphere, the present changes which are happening. So all of these are given more emphasis in mains. Okay, the reason is that these are all current happenings. These are happening right now. The changes are happening right now, whether it is global warming, climate change, or the ozone depletion, or various other things which are happening. The changes, can you see here? The changes in critical geographical features, it is clearly highlighted, right? So this is an important part. So overall we can say we have 4 parts in this entire syllabus of mains. One is physical geography in general, second one is geophysical phenomena, which is, even though it is part of it, let's try to separate it so that we can understand the weightage. Third one is natural resources, and fourth one is economic activity. And here it includes both India and world at all the levels. Okay, whether you are reading physical geography or resources or economic activity, you have to read from both the perspective of India as well as world. Keep that in mind. So basically we have 4 different topics in geography. And if I have to show you the weightage of this entire geography section, including all the 4 different areas, So this graph shows the overall weightage of geography in paper 1. It is in 2013 when the syllabus was changed in general studies mains. That is when general studies paper 1 के अंदर जो geography separate किया था. So from 2013 till 2021, the overall weightage you can see out of 250 marks, it is on an average it has remained around 100 marks. Okay, on an average it has remained around 100 marks. So initially it was around 80, 75 भी आया है, एक बार 115 भी आया है. So overall we can say around 100 marks, and this year the weightage is 95. Total of 95 out of 250 marks. That is actually a very good weightage. In fact, there is also another question I'm going to bring it up. So that is not included as part of geography, but that has been included as a part of society. But in a way that is also related to geography also in a way. So if you include that also, it comes to overall around 110 marks. So on an average we can say 100 marks out of 250. So which makes geography as the largest section in the entire paper 1. Okay, I know one of the most common complaint of students who are preparing for general studies, preparing for UPSC, when they study geography बोलते हैं कि बहुत ज़्यादा syllabus है ना, बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ना है, prelims में तो ज़्यादा question नहीं आता है. Okay, but prelims में there has been little bit reduction in the weightage of direct geography questions. There is increase in the weightage of environment questions. Overall geography का role उतना ही है, but overall weightage थोड़ा सा कम हुआ है. But you can see in the mains the overall weightage of geography has remained consistently high. And once you understand the nature of questions, you will also see that it is one of the most scoring part also. Okay, so first part we have around 100 marks. Okay, this year 95 out of 250 is from paper 1 of का जो part है उसके 95 marks is from geography. And these are the questions, total of 8 questions. So just for the rough understanding, okay, we will take up the questions individually separately. Just for analysis I am bringing it here together in a simple chart. So we have from question 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 questions of 10 marker, okay, 10 marker each, and 3 questions of 15 marker. So you can see 10 marker question, differentiate the causes of landslide in Himalayan region and Western Ghats. Second, it's about the issues in the mining industry, how even though it is India has one of the largest in terms of the resource availability, its contribution to GDP is very less, discuss. And third one, the environmental implications of reclamation of water bodies into urban land use, okay. And fourth one, global occurrence of volcanic eruptions in 2021 and their impact on regional environment. Fifth one, why is India considered a subcontinent? This is an interesting question. I'll talk about this. Elaborate your answer. These are the 5 10 markers and 3 15 marker. Briefly mention the alignment of major mountain ranges of the world. Explain their impact on the local weather conditions. And how do the melting of Antarctic ice and glaciers of Arctic ice and glaciers of Antarctic differently affect the weather patterns and human activities on the earth. And discuss the multi-dimensional implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. Okay, total of 8 questions, right? We'll come back to this. So this is another question which I was telling actually, which we have not included as part of geography section. I think this has been already discussed as part of society. But overall, ठीक है, UPSC के लिए तो there is no such difference that ये geography है, ये society है. It's all general studies. Okay, for UPSC it's all general studies. Why I am saying that this is a question of both geography as well as society, because previous year, if you take the previous year 2015 में एक question आया था, smart cities in India cannot sustain without smart villages. Discuss the statement in the background of rural urban integration. Okay, on the बाहर से देखा तो like from outside it appears like this is a direct question of society, but this was clearly included as part of geography section. Okay, if you see the question paper, जो sections होता है वो अलग अलग होता है. So there has been no mixing up of the questions. starts with art and culture, then history, then society, then geography. Okay, that was the earlier pattern. फिर अभी geography पहले कर दिया, his society बाद में कर लिया. And this was in between the geography questions, clearly given in between the geography questions. So that's why in 2015 we have discussed this as part of geography only. ठीक है, can you see? This is one. Second, 2017 में you can see the same example. IT industry के ऊपर ही question आया था. Growth of cities as IT hubs has opened up new avenues of employment, but also has created new problems. Substantiate this statement with example. This is core geography. Okay, we have that time also we had discussed this as a part of geography itself, and that's mainly because we are talking about the IT industry. Can you see here? This question is almost 2017 में जो question आया था, जो 2017 में question आया था, उसी को ही change करके दिया है. Almost it appears like that. Here they are talking about the avenues of employment as well as the problems. Here they are talking about the socio-economic implications. Can you see? So technically it is a question of both geography as well as society, because you need to discuss the social angle, है ना? Clearly दिया है socio-economic implications, which even we study as a part of geography, है ना? So implication में factors of analysis as well as the effects, implication, ये सारी चीज़ें हम पढ़ते हैं. So anyway, okay, let's consider it as for our discussions for today's discussion. Let's see that let's say that this is part of society, but you need to bring both geography as well as society angle. So keep that in mind. So removing this, we have a total of 8 questions. Okay, we have a total of 8 questions, 5 questions of 10 marker and 3 questions of 15 marker. Total of 95 marks. Now, let's analyze the section-wise weightage of these questions. So, I have brought you a simple infographic to show how exactly the different sections, जो 4 section हमने identify किया था, one is physical geography, second one is geophysical phenomena, third one is natural resources, and fourth one is economic activity. In the last 9 years, from 2013 to 2021, including this year 2021 include करके, there are total of 75 questions. Okay, that 75 questions, if we divide into different sections, you can see that physical geography accounts for only 12%, geophysical phenomena accounts for a total of 40%, natural resources at 25%, economic activity 23%. अभी समझ आया? So why I was saying that this is a very important section, why UPSC has clearly highlighted the importance of this, because even though this is part of the physical geography, this has been clearly separately given because this is important from the current context. UPSC ने clearly highlight करके दिया है, and that is clearly evident from the previous sections. So overall you can see that nearly 52% of the questions from physical as well as geophysical phenomena, and 48% of the questions come from resources and economic activity. But that does not mean that, because if you study geography, इसका weightage बहुत ज़्यादा रहता है, इसका weightage थोड़ा सा कम रहता है. So that's because you cannot answer these questions without the support of physical geography. You need the support of physical geography. You need to understand the geographical factors regarding the distribution or regarding the factors affecting the location. Okay, so the study of physical geography is very important, which acts as a base. So overall weightage ये हो गया. If we talk about this year's questions, total of 8 questions. There is one question from physical geography. Okay, that is India as a subcontinent. Okay, India as a subcontinent, वो जो question था, it is directly from physical geography. Okay, static part of physical geography. And we have 4 questions from geophysical phenomena. Landslides, geophysical phenomena, volcanic eruption, geophysical phenomena, mountain ranges of the world, again from that part only, and melting of Arctic and Antarctic glaciers, directly the critical changes which are happening, that is part of geophysical phenomena. There are 2 questions from resources, one is mining industry, another one is distribution of mineral oil. Okay, 2 questions from natural resources and 1 question from economic activity regarding the reclamation of urban water bodies for urban land use. But if you observe this very closely, this is also in a way related to geophysical phenomena only. Because यहाँ पर clearly दिया है the changes, critical changes happening in the water bodies, right? And you see the critical geographical features including the water bodies and ice caps clearly दिया है, right? So we can include ये जो question है urban water bodies as part of geophysical phenomena also, but here since the question talks specifically about the urban land use, so let's say that उनके लिए एक question दे देते, नहीं तो section खाली हो जाएगा ना. So let's give them one question. Overall you can see this is one question, India's subcontinent as physical part, and 4 questions from geophysical phenomena and 2 questions from the resources and 1 question from economic activity. So overall analysis आप देखा तो the overall even including this part is from the static part of geography, which we call it as ये जो conventional portion बोलते हैं, है ना, because resource is something which is dynamic, which is related to current. यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन आया है, उसका मतलब है ठीक है, it appears like this has made the paper little bit scoring क्यों है, this is all static part of the geography, है ना, द फंडामेंटल जो कोर एरिया जो हम बोलते हैं, ओके, वेदर इट इज इंडिया बीइंग ए सब कॉन्टिनेंट, एनसीईआरटी में डायरेक्टली दिया है, ओके, अबाउट द जियोफिजिकल फेनामेना विच आर हैपनिंग, इसके बारे में तो डिटेल में पढ़ते हैं, एंड अर्बन वाटर बॉडी उसका तो मैं एनालिसिस दे दूंगा. सो ओवरऑल यू कैन सी दैट द वेटेज हैज मूव्ड मोर टुवर्ड्स द फिजिकल पार्ट ऑफ जियोग्राफी एंड देयर इज लेस ऑन द रिसोर्सेस एंड इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट, राइट. सेक्शन वाइज देयर इज अ स्लाइट चेंज in a pattern. More number of questions have come from physical part of geography as well as geophysical phenomena. This is regarding section. Let's talk about the nature of questions. When it comes to nature of questions, we can say there are 4 different natures, 4 different types of questions. Okay, the first one is static and basic. Static and basic का मतलब क्या है? See, there is no standard classification given by UPSC. It's all our own, for our own understanding we have done this. Static and basic part of questions are basically which are chosen directly from textbook. Directly from textbook, you don't have to do anything. Okay, बस textbook से जो दिया है उसी को ही यहाँ पर लिखना है. That is what is static and basic. Second one is static and applied. Okay, static and applied. So here the question is not directly from a textbook. Static है, topic is static, that is conventional, जो core part of geography, but you have to apply your mind to answer the question. You won't get a direct answer from the textbook. You have to think at that point of time. You have to apply and then give the answer. There is no standard answer here. You have to think and give the answer. That is what is static and applied. Third, static and current affairs. The question is from static concept. स्टैटिक कॉन्सेप्ट का ही क्वेश्चन है, बट यू नीड द करंट अफेयर्स नॉलेज, करंट अफेयर्स अपडेशन इन ऑर्डर टू आंसर दिस. ओके, यू कैन आंसर ए स्टैटिक क्वेश्चन यूजिंग द करंट इवेंट्स. दैट इज व्हाट इज स्टैटिक प्लस करंट अफेयर्स. एंड फोर्थ वन इज टोटली करंट अफेयर्स, so which is not related to any textbook or any other concept which is in news, but totally from the current affairs only. Okay, not from the textbook. Of the entire 9 years, you can see there is a very less proportion of questions which are directly from current affairs. Total there are only 4 questions. Okay, I can tell you there is this IR and SS का ऊपर question था, and I say there were questions which are directly related to topic from current affairs. This is not part of core geography at all. There is very less proportion from that particular area. Overall static and basic it's around 36%, static and applied around 40%, and current affairs inspired static questions they are around 20%. Overall you can say 3/4 of the questions in geography are static only, either directly from the textbook or you have to think and give the answer. Applied portion सबसे ज़्यादा है यहीं पे आएगा. In some we have to bring current affairs, right? We have 4 different types of questions. So let's say this year's questions, how exactly are they? What is the nature of this year's questions? India as a subcontinent, it is totally static and basic. Because directly NCERT में there is one single paragraph, you have to understand the concept of subcontinent. फिर बाद में अपने आप generally लिखना पड़ेगा इसके ऊपर. There is no fixed source for this. Okay, this is static and basic. Mountain ranges of the world, again a part of plate tectonics and other mountain formation, which is considered as a core geography part of static as well as basic. Landslides in Himalayas and Western Ghats, distribution of mineral oil, both are applied in nature. Okay, both are applied in nature. क्योंकि you won't find any at one particular location जहाँ पर दिया है okay these are the reasons behind the landslides of Himalaya, these are the reasons behind the landslides of Western Ghats. So you should understand what are the reasons behind the landslides, then you have to apply your mind and get the answer. Compare both Himalayas and Western Ghats, compare and then write the answer by yourself. That is why I put it as static and applied. Distribution of mineral oil, the question is not only about the distribution of mineral oil. If it is only about the distribution of mineral oil, I would have put it as static and basic. But here it is not only about the distribution of mineral oil, it is about the implications. Okay, where you have to think and write. Again, here also you will not find any one particular material जहाँ पर आप बस देख के आंसर लिखोगे. So that is why it is also again static and applied. Volcanic eruptions, static part भी है, current affairs भी है. You read the question, you will understand. This is current affairs derived. Melting of Arctic and Antarctic glacier, of course current affairs related है because of IPCC AR6. Mining industry, there are various issues which are currently in news, इसलिए current affairs related है. And urban water bodies तो ये totally current affairs related है. Okay, so we have two questions which are totally static and basic, we can say, India's subcontinent and mountain ranges of the world. Two questions which are static and applied. So rest 4 questions are totally static and current affairs. So compared to the previous pattern, you can clearly see there is again change of pattern here. So usually the role of current affairs were little bit less. Now the role of current affairs has increased. Okay, but the questions are not directly from current affairs. The questions are not directly from current affairs. It is a static topic. Okay, core topic of geography. You can clearly see in this part. Okay, इसमें देखो तो core, overall core is geography का जो fundamental areas है उसी के ऊपर ही topics आया है. But while writing the answers, you need to consider the current events. Okay, try to compare with this part where you can see okay the topics are majorly from the core part of geography, the fundamental part of geography, and here it clearly says that you need the current updation, current knowledge and application in order to write the answer. Is that clear? Now I'll talk about the sources. कौन कौन सा सोर्स में आपको ये आंसर्स मिलेगा, कौन कौन सा सोर्स और पढ़ना है, इसके बारे में एंड में बात करूंगा. सो दैट बिफोर दैट वी कैन डिस्कस द क्वेश्चन सो दैट यू गेट ए ओवरऑल आइडिया व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज द आंसर एंड ऑल. फाइन. So let's start discussing the questions individually. Question number 4. Differentiate the causes of landslides in Himalayan region and Western Ghats. And you can clearly see there are 2 questions which are UPSC has already asked on this topic. 2013, can you see, bring out the causes for more frequent occurrence of landslides in Himalayas than Western Ghats. Can you see? It is totally a direct question from 2013. Fine. 2016 में एक और, Himalayas are highly prone to landslide, discuss the causes and suggest the measures of mitigation. Of course disaster management का question है, but फिर भी it is almost half of it is from this. ये जो question है हमारा, it is directly from 2013, right? So इसलिए हम बोलते हैं थोड़ा सा previous question paper करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. Even though it is not directly, many of the times indirectly एक ना एक तरीके से question आ ही जाता है. Okay, and this, whoever had prepared this, I think it was a jackpot for them. Okay, you could have directly written without even thinking much. So that is previous year. We have 2 questions from previous UPSCs which is directly talking about landslide and 1 question to almost same here. Coming to the news part. So were landslides in news? Yes, totally. Landslides totally were in news. Okay, this year 2021 there were many incidents of landslides. Maharashtra around Mumbai, Thane, okay, in the month of June. In the state of Himachal Pradesh in the month of July and August. In Kinnaur district we had a few landslides. In Uttarakhand we had few landslides, and even in September, October I guess. In Kerala we had a landslide, Idukki. So it was massive, and many of them were big events. So that means that landslides were constantly in news. And if you remember, not only in paper 1, even in paper 3 there was a question on landslide. Okay, clearly न्यूज़ में था previous year भी इसका क्वेश्चन आया है. So considering that this was a easy topic, it was a easy question for anyone who had clearly kept track of current affairs as well as who had solved the previous papers. Yeah. Now coming to the answer. So this is the overall structure. For your ease of understanding, I have written the overall structure here. So remember, it is a 10 marker question. You will not have much scope of elaborating too much here. Start with a brief introduction. Either you can start with a definition of landslide, what is landslide and all. So, or you can talk about the recent incidents. That would also be a very good introduction. Okay, talking about the recent incidents of landslides in Western Ghats or Himalayas. Or you can also talk about some of the statistics about the landslides. This is the first part. Second part, clearly talk about the cause of landslide in Himalaya as well as Western Ghats. दोनों को comparison में you have to bring it up here. And finally conclusion, a brief conclusion, what exactly are the brief measures required to be taken. Okay, this is the overall structure of this question. Fine, it's a simple, direct, predictable tha, topic predictable tha. Even the framing is also not that difficult. You can clearly write the answer in an easy manner. So this is one of the scoring questions, I can say. And do you have to write a map or figure here? I would say no. There is no scope, because if at all the question had come about the areas impacted by landslides or the extent of landslide in India, so in that case you could have written a map or a figure here. So but यहाँ पर directly it is talking about the causes of landslides in Himalayas and Western Ghats. So overall there is no need of map here. So now the first part, what do you mean by landslide? Landslide is basically a mass movement. Okay, so if you might have studied in geography about the mass movement is basically the huge weathered material under the influence of gravity, it is moving, है ना, the mass movement. There are different types of mass movement, slow movement, rapid movements, and landslide is a type of rapid movement, and where a particular entire section of the hill has come off and is moving under the influence of gravity with or without the presence of water. So you can give a simple definition, and you have to clearly mention that it is a type of mass movement. So that brings the angle of geography here. Fine, the questions are in geography. Please don't write a very general and vague answers here. You need to bring geography aspect as much as possible. So that gives you marks here. You need to mention it is a type of mass movement. Fine. Coming to the statistics, you can also say that 15% of India is impacted by landslides. Or you can also talk about the recent incidents of landslides in Himachal Pradesh or Western Ghats or in few of the states. Okay, that is the introduction part. Causes of landslides. Causes of landslides can be discussed under different headings, different reasons. Okay, starting from tectonic causes. Okay, you can bring a comparison between both Himalayas and Western Ghats. Comparison between Himalayas and Western Ghats. So Himalayas are totally tectonically very active. Western Ghats are not very active. है ना? So that makes Himalayas more prone to the landslides due to the continuous and frequent tectonic activities, in this case particularly earthquakes. Okay, यहाँ पर tectonic activity नहीं है, but फिर भी landslides होता है, that's because of other factors. Okay, other than tectonic activity, the steepness of topography. Himalayas, they are one of the very high slope, okay, the slope is very high, so that causes the conditions very favorable for the formation of for the occurrence of landslides in Himalayas. But they here in Western Ghats, they are moderate compared to the Himalayas, but there are few sections like western side of the Western Ghats, okay, western side of the Western Ghats, they are again little bit steep, okay, they are higher in slope, so there are higher chances of landslides here. Then other than that, the rock structures, the rock types, Himalayas are mainly made up of sedimentary rocks which is unconsolidated, है ना, sedimentary and unconsolidated in nature, so they are more prone to landslide, they can easily undergo the landslide. However, the Western Ghats, a part of Western Ghats are majorly made up of basaltic rocks due to Deccan traps, and many of the other parts are metamorphic in nature. Okay, technically they are not very prone to landslides if you consider the rock type, but it is the rainfall which is responsible for more frequent landslides in Western Ghats. Himalayas, of course, they are high rainfall towards the southern slopes. Towards the southern slopes there is a high rainfall, okay, where the monsoon winds hit directly. So there are higher chances of landslides, not towards the northern slopes. Okay, however, along the Western Ghats there is a high chance of landslides due to the continuous precipitation which is received during 3 months of monsoon. Monsoon period, the entire Western Ghats receives one of the very highest precipitation, and that causes them very favorable conditions for the formation of landslides. In addition to this, we also have some other factors, exogenetic factors, okay, like the rivers. The more number of rivers causes high number of landslides, okay, rivers, streams, all of these causes frequent landslides in Himalayas. But here the rivers of Western Ghats, they are not that in youth stage in terms of energy levels or in terms of the velocity, they are not that high compared to the rivers of Himalayas. So that brings the lesser chances of landslides in Western Ghats. But फिर भी यहाँ पर जो हमारा rainfall का component है ना, so that makes more probability of landslides in Western Ghats. In addition to all of this, we have anthropogenic factors, which is the same in both Himalayas as well as Western Ghats. Okay, even though the population is little bit less in case of Himalayas, if you go to the higher range of Himalayas, the population density decreases, but Western Ghats, they are one of the densely populated. In fact, we have many of the cities nearby Western Ghats, okay, near to the coastal region, Mumbai, पुणे हो गया या मैंगलोर हो गया, ऐसे बहुत सारा cities है which are in the Western Ghats and nearby regions which are densely populated. Other than that, many of the anthropogenic activities like road construction, the construction of railway lines, dams, or even the changes in the natural topographical features, natural slope under for all the human activities, or even grazing, deforestation, all these activities, they are equally valid in both the cases of Himalayas as well as Western Ghats. Equally, they are also responsible for the increased occurrence of landslides. Okay, you need to bring this comparison, no need to write a separate table form here, you can just take out a factor and compare both Himalayas and Western Ghats. ऐसे कर दिया तो it is going to be more clear here. Now the conclusion part. So conclusion part is, you can generally talk saying that even though few of the factors are not there in Western Ghats, but some important factors like the excessive rainfall and the increased anthropogenic interventions in the name of developmental works, all of this makes it more prone to landslides even in Western Ghats also. So both Himalayas and Western Ghats are equally prone to landslides, and we need to take the mitigation measures, whether it is hazard zonation, monitoring, or the early warning as suggested by NDMA is very much required, and that has to be implemented. You can write about this in the conclusion. Okay, a very brief conclusion would be sufficient here. So that is about question number 4. Question number 5. Despite India being one of the countries of Gondwanaland, its mining industry contributes much less to its GDP in percentage. Discuss. I was trying to look for any of the previous questions with close resemblance. I could not get any. Only one question which was very thoda sa close mein aaya tha. 2017 mein there was this question. In spite of adverse environmental impact, coal mining is still inevitable for development. Discuss. Of course, this is little bit different. It is not same as what has been asked now. But here also again it is talking about the coal mining. Here in general the entire mining sector. Here it is only coal mining. And here it is talking in the context of environmental impact and the necessity for it to continue, है ना, why it is required. So इसके बारे में बात हो रही है. यहाँ पर it is talking about the overall issues of the entire mining sector. This question which was asked in 2021 is much more broader than the question which was asked in 2017. And news, yes, mining industry was clearly in news. Of course, for various reasons, mining industry तो news में ही था. One particular reason was the government is planning to bring an amendment in Mining and Mineral Development and Regulation, okay, Development and Regulation Act of 1957. Okay, that has been recently approved, and this was the news of January 2021. And considering the overall issues in this mining sector, they were trying to revamp this entire sector. इसलिए एक blueprint बना के उसको they wanted to implement it through the amendment in Mining and Mineral Development and Regulation Act. Okay, this was the news. That's why overall question. But you don't have to know the news here. So this is not required. What exactly are the amendments proposed? क्या changes लाना चाहते हैं? ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, because the question is pretty simple and direct. This is the structure of the question. You can start with the introduction about Gondwanaland. Okay, so as a geography faculty, I would always look for this explanation about Gondwanaland, because it is clearly given in the question. India being one of the countries of Gondwanaland, its mining industry contributes much less to its GDP. I know that the question is not directly talking about the explanation of Gondwanaland, वहाँ पर क्या है, कौन-कौन सा resources है, ये सारा बात करने का ज़रूरी नहीं है. But I would want you to write, है ना, एक Gondwanaland क्या हुआ था, कैसे था, कहाँ पर था, एक brief introduction तो I would definitely try to look in the answer. So that brings more geography angle to the answer. You can start with what was this Gondwanaland, why it is said, what are the important minerals which are found over there, क्यों बोलते हैं इसको mineral rich ऐसे, and you can also give about the contribution, the present contribution of mining sector to GDP. Okay, because it says that overall contribution is less. So that is just the introduction part में वहाँ पर लाना है. No need to go in detail about here, है ना, no need to bring a detailed fact comparison, ये सारा ज़रूरी नहीं है. Just a brief is sufficient here. So basically Gondwanaland is that part of the Pangaea, the southern part of the Pangaea, where South America, Africa, India, Madagascar, Australia and Antarctica, all of them are merged together as one single part. So that part we call it as Gondwanaland. And if you see this part of the Gondwanaland, almost all the regions are very rich in terms of minerals. Okay, South Africa le lo, Australia le lo, and even parts of Antarctica also, South America also, all of them are very rich in minerals. And if you take the comparison of these countries which were earlier part of Gondwanaland, okay, you can see that almost all the countries are doing very well in terms of mineral extraction. Their mining industry is doing very well. South Africa, its mining industry has a contribution of 7.5% to its GDP. Australia's mining industry has a contribution of 6.9% to its GDP. Even Brazil has its mining industry with a contribution of 2% to its GDP. However, India had the mining sector at 1.93%, okay, at 1.93% in 2012-13. However, this has decreased to 1.53% in 2019-20. Whereas these other countries of Gondwanaland, they are having one of the higher contribution of mining industry to their GDP, overall GDP, whereas India's contribution is very less. It is not only less, it has been decreasing in the recent years. So what are the reasons? This simple introduction is sufficient. What are the reasons behind this? Okay, the reasons: try to bring as many multi dimensions as possible. This is a 10 marker, ज़्यादा elaborate करने का scope नहीं होता है. You don't have to elaborate every single point in a much more detailed manner. Rather than that, I would expect you to write as many different points as much as possible. Okay, I want you to write, okay, this is the reason, this is the reason, this is the reason. As a list karna, it is more important. Okay, it is more answer, it is more fetching in terms of the marks, rather than just talking about few of the factors in detail. No need to go in detailed discussion here because it is a 10 marker, keep that in mind. So what are the reasons behind why our mining industry is not contributing much? Okay, there are many reasons, starting from low grade of few minerals, for example coal. Low grade of coal. India ka coal availability, it is not of very high grade, it is rich in ash content, है ना? And that is why we are majorly dependent upon the import for high grade coal also. India's coal is bituminous and lignite in nature. Compared to the other countries' coal, India's coal is not of that higher quality. So that is regarding the grade. That is why its contribution is decreasing. Okay. So then technology. We are following age-old methods of mining, age-old methods of extraction of these minerals. So that results in much more reduction in the overall contribution, because there would be increase in the wastage and there would be decrease in the profits. Fine. Technological upgradation is very much required, and India, we are overall following very old technological methods while mining this. In addition to this, there are large untapped resources which we are yet to extract. These are all there in the tribal regions. These are all there in the tribal regions. Of course, I am not saying that we should all do the mineral extraction in all the tribal region. That is the that is the responsibility of the government to balance development as well as the tribe, to balance the resource extraction as well as the tribal development. But we cannot totally exclude those regions, right? This is very much required for the growth of country. Fine. So because of the various issues in the development of tribal region and the internal security, Naxalism, Maoism, ये सारे reason के वजह से बहुत सारा जगह हमें हमारा जो mineral resources they are still untapped. Other than this, there are many issues in the policy in terms of the laws, the statutes and the rules and regulations, or in terms of the clearances required for mining sector, or in terms of the high taxation on the mining sector. All of these are related to the policy, right? And the role of private sector has been very less. There is more control of the public sector enterprises and the government agencies in this mining. बहुत recently only हमने वो coal mining को खोल दिया है, we have allowed the private sector, but still it is not very great. The participation of private sector is not that great. As long as the private sector is not participating, they don't bring the upgraded technology, they don't bring much of revenues, so overall contribution of the mining sector decreases. Okay, I have discussed few of the factors, you can add some more. So definitely, so try to remember, you don't have to go in detailed discussion about these factors. Okay, try to bring few analysis, एक line का analysis काफी है with specific examples. And conclusion, हाँ यहाँ पर एक और चीज़ है, environment का angle लाने का यहाँ पर ज़रूरी नहीं है. You don't have to bring an environment angle saying that the mining results in so much of pollution, so much of degradation, because here we are talking about the reasons behind the less contribution of mining sector to GDP. है ना, try to bring the problems associated with the mining sector which has made its overall contribution less. Of course, environment is a problem, but you need to bring that angle why it has resulted in the lower contribution of GDP, why its overall performance is decreasing, वहाँ पर लाना है. So you should not get confused and bring too much of analysis about the environmental angle here. Conclusion, definitely you have to write mining is one of the core sectors of India's economy. It provides employment for nearly 1.1 crore people, and nearly 5.5 crore people are directly and indirectly dependent on this sector. So it is very much important that we need to implement this national mineral policy and also our mineral and mines development and regulation act in letter and spirit. So overall implementation में ही issue है. So we need to work towards overcoming these hurdles. Okay, so let me take up one of the query. What is the relationship between Gondwanaland and mining? Of course, Gondwanaland is very famous for rich minerals, rich mineral resources. If you take the core area of Gondwanaland, India में भी जो छोटा नागपुर region है, छत्तीसगढ़, झारखंड region है, they are very rich in terms of mineral availability. Coal, iron, bauxite, है ना, manganese, बहुत सारा minerals available है. In spite of having these many number of minerals, so that is what is mining. In spite of having these many number of minerals, our mining sector is not doing well. So that is the demand of question here. I hope that's clear. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे आता है. ये तो हमारा फेवरेट है, इवन फॉर आवर स्टूडेंट्स हु आर अपियरिंग फॉर दिस ईयर मीन्स आई हैड क्लियरली सेड दैट वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट वन क्वेश्चन ऑन द वाटर बॉडी. Okay, usually this is one of the very favorite area of UPSC, particularly in paper 1. So that's why I have brought all the previous questions from this area. Okay, 2018 you can clearly see that there was a direct question on urban water body. The ideal solution of depleting groundwater resources in India is water harvesting system. How can it be effectively managed in urban areas? Okay, can you see urban water body के ऊपर question था, and one of the major implication of this reclamation of water bodies is the increased number of urban floods. One of the major implication of the reclamation of water body is increased number of urban floods. Urban floods के ऊपर ऑलरेडी 3 बार क्वेश्चन आया है. 2016 में 2 बार and 2020 लास्ट ईयर में 1 बार क्वेश्चन आया था. So this time the question has been made in little bit more broader manner. Okay, so other than, you should not restrict your answer to only the urban floods. Other than urban floods और क्या क्या implication हो सकता है, you need to bring the overall effect of the mismanagement of these urban water bodies. Overall, this is one of the most predicted question, considering the recent number of floods. चेन्नई में floods हुआ था, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, हर जगह majority of the cities are observing floods. They are experiencing floods. Considering that, this is one of the most predicted area, and the question has been little bit general. It's not very specific. This is the overall structure. Introduction. The best way of introducing to these kind of questions, bring the current context. Okay, current context, any of the current recent incidents of urban floods in Chennai or Bangalore or Mumbai or Ahmedabad, or जहाँ पर भी wherever there have been issues. Not only, you don't have to bring only about the floods, you can bring all other impacts, even the scarcity of water, scarcity of drinking water जैसे चेन्नई में हुआ था. All of this you can bring and give a brief introduction here. The next part is what are the various environmental implication. यहाँ पर आप different headings में discuss कर सकते हो, but again you have to keep it brief because this is a 10 marker, you don't have much scope here. Okay, considering the 10 marker, you can just discuss under different headings like water quality. Water quality is one of the most important implication of reclamation of urban water bodies. So let me tell you what is this reclamation of urban water body. उसका मतलब क्या है? So in the name of urban development, the construction of societies and the construction of roads and various other infrastructure, in most of the cities they are converting this water bodies, lakes and wetlands in urban regions. They are converting over there, and they are constructing the various infrastructure projects over there. So this is what is reclamation of water bodies. So that main purpose was to store the water, store the excess water or store the rain water. उसके लिए जो था उसको हमने convert कर दिया, and we are using that particular land for something else. This is what is reclamation of urban water bodies. उसका implication क्या क्या है? Its implications are wide in all the different ways. First, it affects the water quality. कैसे? In many of the places, these water bodies which were used for the drinking purpose, for agriculture purpose earlier, now they are being used as dumping grounds, dumping solid waste or dumping the sewage, है ना, channelizing the sewage. Best example, Bangalore का बेल्लंदूर लेक है, हैदराबाद का हुसैन सागर लेक है. You can see they are being used as just the dumping grounds for all the different types of wastes and all the different types of sewage, everything, etc. That reduces the overall water quality available in that particular water body. It impacts the water quality. Second, the water level, particularly the groundwater level, decreases, because जितना ज़्यादा water bodies रहता है उतना ज़्यादा percolation रहेगा. Decrease in the number of water bodies in urban areas reduces the overall percolation of water, and that reduces the ground level, underground water level. Okay, best example is Bangalore. Bangalore, once upon a time, it had nearly 262 lakes. Now it has around maximum 8 to 10 lakes only, and the drinking water is one of the worst crises. Bangalore is facing one of the worst crises. Fine, because it has not much of surface available for absorbing this rainwater. So recharge कहाँ पर होगा? Then comes our urban floods. Since there are not much of water bodies available for accommodating this excess water during the precipitation, and the concrete surface ensure that there is a maximum surface runoff, and this results in the flooding of the urban regions. जो भी low lying areas है वहाँ पर पानी चला जाता है, और in those regions जहाँ पर wherever we had reclaimed the water body and converted into residential areas, so naturally water flows into that particular area and it submerges the entire area, right? So this has resulted in increased incidence of urban floods in the urban region. You can give the example, okay, Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, most of them are because of that reason only. In addition to this, it also results in habitat destruction. Okay, the entire lake ecosystem, the entire vegetation in that the entire lake ecosystem and the entire vegetation in that particular wetland will be disturbed, and the species, the different types of the fish or various other fauna which are living in that particular region totally is disrupted. It also impacts the vegetation of the surrounding region, okay, which is supported by the local water bodies over there, and it also results in increase in invasive species. It also changes the microclimate. It also causes urban heat island effect. Okay, of course, increased effect of urban heat island. ये सारा जितना maximum different dimension ला सकते हैं उतना अच्छा रहेगा. Conclusion, you can write a brief conclusion saying that of course we cannot stop the urban growth, urban development तो हम रोक नहीं सकते because they are the engines of economy, but we need a planned urban development, we need a balanced urban development. Okay, that is the only way forward, so that we can also preserve the urban water bodies, which actually results in these many different types of multi-dimension implications on the environment. We have to prevent this. At the same time, we should also grow. We cannot stop the growth of urban cities in the name of environmental conservation. There is a balanced, okay, that you have to bring it in the conclusion. Next one. Mention the global occurrence of volcanic eruptions in 2021 and their impact on region and environment. Okay, I know why am I smiling, because luckily I had covered this part as a part of mapping exercise. If any of our 2021 students who were watching this, they would, I'm sure they would realize. तो हमने ये सारा जो भी volcanic eruption हुआ था, so luckily I had covered in our class mapping exercise में cover किया था. So but that's just a pure coincidence. It is difficult to predict because हर साल volcanic eruption होता ही है. It happens every year, and it has never been, UPSC has never asked this about a specific volcanic eruption or asking us to list the important volcanoes which are erupted in that particular year. So this is one particular thing which is totally unpredictable and totally lucky on our end, who had attended our class. Okay, the first part, only the first part, this is a 10 marker and you don't have to worry. Whoever has written, whoever could not write this first part, it's fine. I agree, because many of the students would not have gone through this, would not have remembered each and every volcano which has erupted, because it's too difficult to factual. So, but the second part is also having a higher weightage than the first part, okay, which talks about the overall impact in the regional environment. इसके ऊपर आपको marks मिलेगा, जो भी लिखा है इसके ऊपर marks तो मिलेगा. So totally it is not a loss if you don't know about the exact volcanic eruptions. So I would say this is the overall structure of this question. You can start with what is volcanic eruption. You need to define, you cannot take it for granted, हाँ volcanic eruption तो सबको पता है. So because since this is a geography question, this is where you can actually show, okay, geography का थोड़ा सा term, geography का knowledge थोड़ा सा दिखा सकते हैं. A volcanic eruption is basically extrusion of magmatic material from the earth's inside through volcanic cone. Okay, volcanic cone or volcanic vent is that uppermost part through which the magmatic material comes out, and this magmatic material includes the magma, the ash, water content and various smoke, dust particles, बहुत सारा mix होता है, all of it together, the extrusion is erupting out. So that is what we call it as volcanic eruption. Okay, that is the first part. Then second part, you have to give some examples of the eruptions which has happened in the recent times, and if at all you knew any of this, I would always suggest writing a map here. A simple world map, छोटा सा world map, no need to write a big one, a small world map, and just mark the important region. For example, यहाँ पर देखो near to Java there were two volcanoes, one is Sumero, another one is so two volcanoes erupted, one is Sumero, another one is Merapi, Mount Merapi, दोनों यहाँ पर था. So Ecuador में एक erupt हुआ था, then the one in this Caribbean islands there was one, Ecuador में there is another one, and Hawaii island there is one. Okay, so just a brief marking would have been sufficient here. Okay, even if you write 4 or 5, that would fulfill the part, because I don't think anyone would have written this. This is one of the tricky part, difficult parts. So these are some of the examples of the volcanic eruption which happened in 2021. Last software it happened in Caribbean island in April 2021. Sangay volcano, it is one of the tallest volcano. Okay, one of the tallest volcano in Ecuador. It erupted in March 2021, and Sumeru volcano as well as Mount Merapi in Indonesia, they erupted in January and August respectively. And Mount Kilau is just next to Mount Mauna Kea, जो हमारा बहुत famous volcano है हवाई आइलैंड का, उसके बगल में ही है, and this erupted both in 2020 as well as in 2021. And if at all you had remembered this, it would always be good if at all you had written a map here. Okay, this is the first part. And the second part, the impact on the regional environment. The impact on the regional environment can be discussed under different headings. the impact part. The impact part can be discussed under two different headings. One is the negative impacts, another one is positive impacts. Negative impacts, though, we know that it results in various destruction. The eruption releases lava, and lava causes huge destruction in its path. Totally wherever it goes, it destroys everything. Roads ho gaya, buildings ho gaya, or the vehicles, whatever it comes in its path, everything is destroyed. And the eruption also results in earthquakes or landslides, which again causes the collapse, again causes the destruction of structures or even the loss of life. It can also result in the generation of tsunami. Okay, volcanic eruption which happens along the oceanic floor can result in the generation of tsunami, and it can also causes global warming, or it can also results in global dimming. Okay, global warming भी हो सकता है, that is increase in the temperature or reduction in the temperature also, दोनों possible है. Global warming कैसे होगा? The amount of carbon dioxide, huge amount of carbon dioxide is released during the volcanic eruption, that increases the greenhouse gas. Second, global dimming कैसे हो सकता है? The amount of ash and gases which are released will block the atmosphere if it is released in the huge quantity, and that will reduce the incoming solar radiation, causing an imbalance in the heat budget, and that will decrease the overall incoming solar radiation, causes dimming. दोनों possible है. So these are the negatives overall, we can say. Positives, there are few positive, we need to bring that also. In terms of volcanic eruption, it results in land formation. Okay, various different lands, for example different islands, the entire Hawaii islands जो बना हुआ है, that is because of volcanic eruption only. Okay, it results in the formation of islands, or in terms of the mountains, volcanic mountains, they are all result of volcanic eruptions. And it can also result in fertility of land. Land fertility increase करेगा कैसे? Because volcanic ash is very rich in terms of minerals, which is considered good for agriculture. Okay, volcanic ash and the debris which comes out of the volcano, they are very rich in terms of fertilizers, the nutrients. It increases the fertility, and it also helps in nutrient cycling. It also helps in nutrient cycling in terms of the carbon cycling or sulfur cycling. It is very important part of this. The recycling of this entire the carbon cycle as well as sulfur cycle, the overall biogeochemical cycle hai. At the same time, it is also an important source of geothermal energy. Okay, wherever there is volcanic activity, it results in the formation of geysers, hot springs, fumaroles, which are usually used for tapping the the geothermal energy in terms of electricity generation can be done. Okay, we have both positive as well as negatives here. So I think this much would be sufficient. So इससे ज़्यादा तो स्कोप नहीं रहेगा आपका लिखने के लिए, आंसर में स्पेस भी नहीं रहेगा. Question number 8. This is totally static part. You would have studied about Indian subcontinent ऐसे बोल के बहुत जगह में you would have studied about it. Even in fact जो India physical environment में where we are talking about the location of India, if you open the NCERT 11th standard NCERT, वहाँ पर clearly दिया है, एक paragraph दिया है talking about Indian subcontinent. First you just have to understand the meaning of subcontinent, then you can write the answer by your own. Okay, the first part, define a subcontinent. Second part, the different reasons why India is a subcontinent. Okay, that is what is the answer. Why is India considered as a subcontinent? Elaborate your answer. Simple है. एक छोटा सा मैप दिखा दो. The entire portion which is considered as subcontinent, you don't have to write the entire. ऐसे लिखने का जरूरी नहीं है. Just have to write this much, the southern part of Asia, and show this area which is called as subcontinent. Now coming to the part of subcontinent. What is subcontinent? So subcontinent is basically the part of that a major part of the continent which becomes a separate, okay, which usually exists as a separate entity itself. Even though it is part of the entire major landmass, because of certain specific characteristics, it is considered as a separate part of this landmass. Okay, it is separate from the rest of the entire landmass. For example, Indian subcontinent. इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट रेफर टू दैट पर्टिकुलर रीजन. ये साउथ एशिया जो हम बोलते हैं, अफगानिस्तान, पाकिस्तान, इंडिया, नेपाल, भूटान, बांग्लादेश, Maldives, Sri Lanka also. Okay, usually this is what we call it as Indian subcontinent. So this particular region, okay, it is separate for various reasons. It exists separately, तो इसलिए इसको subcontinent बोलते हैं. Other than India, is there any other subcontinent? Yes, Alaska. In North America, if you see the western part is separate, okay, we can call it as Alaskan subcontinent. So like that. This is the part of the major landform itself, but still it exists separately. You can clearly identify it as a separate part. That is what we call it as subcontinent. What are the reasons why India is called a subcontinent? We can discuss geologically, geographically, okay, geographically, politically, historically and culturally. Geologically, what are the reasons why Indian portion is called a subcontinent? Geologically, it was part of the same landmass. It has been existing as a part of same landmass. If you go back to Pangaea 250 million years ago, उसके पहले गया तो it all existed as a part of single Pangaea. Okay, whatever the countries we are talking about, okay, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, ये सारा region they existed as a part of the single landmass from the period of Pangaea. And some part, of course, if you go towards the northern part of Himalaya, they formed in the recent times, but still compared to the human history, still they are old. They have been existing after the collision of Indian plate with the Eurasian plate, and that exists as a single unit. So geologically, they have a single geological history. Geographically, you can clearly identify the boundaries of this entire particular region. On the eastern side, we have Hindu Kush mountains. Here we have Himalayan mountains. Here we have Purvanchal mountains, and towards the southern side it is totally bordered by Indian Ocean. We can clearly identify, okay, geographically it is one particular unit. Is that clear? Political factors. Politically, all these regions, they are the ones who are called as South Asia. Okay, this portion is called as West Asia, this is called as Central Asia, this is called as Southeast Asia. What is South Asia? This Indian subcontinent is called as South Asia. Politically also it has an identity. In fact, they have formed, all of them formed together one group, that is what we call it as SAARC. We call it as SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, right? They have a political identity also. And historically, culturally तो बहुत है, आप लिख ही सकते हो. They share a common history from the time period of Vedic culture, from the time even before that Indus Valley civilization, okay, from where the people spread out to different parts, right? They have a common history, common culture, common ethnicity, common heritage, and even the linguistic roots are also there commonly derived. Okay, the mother tongues, the parent languages, they are all derived from one another. In terms of the religious practices, they share common beliefs, common practices, common traditions. So all of that you can bring it here. So overall, please try to bring it in a different headings. Why there is some commonality among all of these countries and why they should be classified as one particular subcontinent. That is the second part. And there is no need for a separate conclusion here. Fine. So just explain what are the reasons. Okay, these are the reasons based on which we have classified it as a subcontinent. And map, definitely that will give you an extra mark here. So these are 10 markers. Let's come to 15 marker. Question number 14, briefly mention the alignment of major mountain ranges of the world and explain their impact on local weather conditions with example. Okay, इस क्वेश्चन देखते ही मुझे पता चल गया, ठीक है 2014 में ये आया था, ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर है, बट अगेन दिस इज लिटिल बिट ब्रॉडर. 2014 question, can you see why are the world's four mountain systems are located along the margins of the continents? This is also about the alignment only, right? 2014 direct question. It has been made little bit broader by including all the major mountains. Here we are talking about only fold mountains. There it is all the major mountains. That is the first part. Second part, is new. Okay, वो repeat नहीं हुआ था. Explain their impact on the local weather conditions. How the mountain ranges alignment, their location, how it has impacted the various local weather phenomena. Fine. Otherwise, this is totally static. It is not related to current affairs. So this is the overall structure of the question, the answer which should be written, which is expected out of you. You can write a brief introduction about what are mountain ranges and what are the different types of mountain ranges, very briefly. No need to go in detail about that. Second, briefly talk about the alignment, okay, because question clearly say briefly mention the alignment of world mountain ranges, okay, mountain ranges of the world. You don't have to explain here. Okay, you have to be very careful. They are not asking the reason. जो पहले previous UPSC जो आया था ना, that was the reason why they are located along the continents margins. Here you don't have to explain. You just have to mention. You need to read the question very carefully. You just have to mention. Okay, start with what is mountain range, then show the alignment. You just have to show the alignment. Okay, यहाँ पर ऐसे है, यहाँ पर ऐसे है, यहाँ पर ऐसे. You don't have to explain that part. Here definitely a map is required. A world map is required where you show the different mountain ranges. Okay, this is the second part. And third part, the impact on the local weather conditions with example. Specifically example दिया है. You have to write the example here. So what is a mountain range? Mountain range is basically group of mountains which share the same geological characteristics, the geological origin, and they closely exist together. That is what is mountain range. We have different types of mountain ranges: old fold mountains, young fold mountains, block mountains, relic mountains, volcanic mountains. ऐसे बहुत सारा mountains है. In that the mountain ranges are basically old fold mountains, new fold mountains, and then the block mountains. Okay, brief introduction. Then alignment, as I said, map is definitely required here. World map is definitely required here, where you have to show the alignment of different mountains. You can show the alignment in three different parts. First part, those mountains which are aligned in north to south. For example, Rockies, Andes, okay, Rockies of North America, Andes of South America, then Ural Mountains of Russia, Great Dividing Range of Australia. That is north to south. So other than that, we have some Appalachian mountains, again almost north to south. Okay, so we have few east to west aligned mountains, Altai Mountains, Atlas Mountains, okay, Caucasus Mountains. These are east to west aligned mountains. And there are few mountains which are even Alps mountains also almost east to west, and few mountains which form a knot. Okay, that is a radial system. From a central part, different mountain ranges originate and move in other direction. Can you see? From this Pamir knot, towards the north we have Tian Shan, towards the west we have the Hindu Kush Himalayas, and the Hindu Kush mountains, and then here Himalayas, then Karakoram. ऐसे can you see it forms a knot here, and in the same way यहाँ पर भी एक knot formation होते हैं, Armenian knot बोलते हैं. So here we have the Taurus mountain, Zagros mountain, Caucasus mountain, like that. So this is another alignment of mountains. Even if you are not mentioning these kind of technical terms, it's fine, but still you have to write a map and show the location of different mountains on this map. Okay, and roughly show it on the map as well as write it in a list. It is very much required. That was the second part. Now, the impact on local weather conditions. Here you have to discuss about the various different impacts with examples. What are the various different impacts? Starting from rainfall. यहाँ पर best example है Himalayas. Himalayas play a huge role in the formation of Indian monsoon. At the same time, because of their alignment, the southern slopes of Himalayas receives a very high amount of precipitation. It blocks the entire monsoon winds and causes a very good precipitation in those states, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, okay, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, जो भी south में है, Nepal हो गया, and it keeps the northern parts totally dry. First, it plays a very important role in the formation of Indian monsoon. It helps in the distribution of monsoon. Second, it also causes the difference of precipitation from one region to another region. Okay, rainfall is majorly impacted by the alignment of mountains. Same goes with Rockies. यहाँ पर Rocky का example भी दे सकते हो. On the western side of the Rockies, we have a good let me just show it on the map. On the western side of the Rockies, there is a good amount of precipitation. On the eastern side of the Rockies, there is not much of precipitation due to the rain shadow effect. Fine. So first one is rainfall. यहाँ पर एक और भी rain shadow impact भी add कर सकते हो. Okay, rain shadow impact, that is creation of dry regions. Then it also impacts the local winds. For example, Rockies are responsible for the formation of Chinook. The winds which are descending downwards gets heated up and causes a hot winds along this entire central part of North America. Chinook in case of Rockies, Fawn in case of Europe due to Alps. Okay, we can give the examples over there. Then it also causes the blocking of cold waves. For example, Himalayas. Himalaya blocks these cold waves coming from the Siberia and keeps this entire northern part of India free from cold waves during the winters. Of course, winters में बहुत ठंडा होता है, but Himalayas नहीं है तो और ज़्यादा ठंडा हो जाता है. Okay, it causes much more freezing condition in the absence of Himalayas. Fine. At the same time, even the Andes also, it blocks the cold waves coming from Antarctica to reach the higher levels. Same goes with the Ural mountains also. Okay, please don't give only the example of Himalayas. I know you would know only about Himalayas, uska impact ही पता होगा, but you need to diversify here. That gives more marks here. Ural mountains keeps all the cold waves coming from the Siberian region to only this particular region. Comparatively, the regions to the east of Ural mountains are colder than the regions of west. Normal Russia ठंडा रहता है, but Siberia too freezing conditions. That is by Ural mountains. Then formation of cold deserts. Yes, you can see the Himalayas being the blockage. Whatever the winds which goes beyond crossing Himalaya will not cause any kind of precipitation. It results in the formation of dry, almost parts of Tibet as well as Gobi desert है ना. ये जो हमारा टकला मकान, ये सारा region है पूरा dry है. That's due to the presence of Himalayas. Same goes with Andes here. Andes, the winds which cross the Andes and starts to descend down, it will not cause any precipitation here. That caused the formation of Atacama desert here. And here also there is Patagonian desert. The westerlies will not cause any precipitation here due to the rain shadow impact here. Desert formation bhi hai. And most importantly, the rivers. The large number of rivers which are originating from these mountains keep this entire microclimate changed. उसको stable रखता है. It keeps the entire region fertile. It keeps the hydrological cycle going on. That will also impact the local weather condition. Yes. You can bring all the different reasons. The examples are important. Since it is specifically asked, you need to write with examples. Question number 15. How do the melting of Arctic ice and glaciers of Antarctic differently affect the weather pattern and human activities on the earth? Explain. There was one question, I tried to find the closest was 2017, where they asked how does the cryosphere affect the global climate, and this question was much more broader than the present question. Here it was overall about cryosphere, which includes Arctic, Antarctic and all the ice covered regions, and how exactly it will impact the overall global climate. Here they are talking about the context of melting of ice only. Here you need to talk about both the normal condition as well as melting के context में, दोनों के context में बात करना था. Here in the only context of melting. ठीक है, एंड स्पेसिफिकली बोला है कि आर्कटिक आइस एंड अंटार्कटिक आइस का कंपैरिजन में बात करना है. एंड व्हाई इट इज इन न्यूज़? इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ द रीसेंट IPCC AR6. The assessment report of IPCC, the 6th assessment report of IPCC clearly talks about the increased impact of global warming and climate change on Arctic and Antarctic regions. एंड उसके वजह से क्या क्या हुआ है इसके बारे में डिटेल में बात हुआ था. सो दैट इज वाई इट इज ए डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम करंट अफेयर्स. And this is the overall structure of the question. You can start giving an introduction, the context of IPCC AR6 report का ही बोल सकते हो या overall global warming के बारे में भी बोल सकते हो. You can talk, you can bring that context and the major part. Okay, here many of you might have made a mistake generally talking about everything mixing up. Arctic, Antarctic mix कर दो and weather pattern and human activity mix कर दो. If you can separate it, it's well and good. You can clearly identify, right? So here you can talk about Arctic and Antarctic on the weather pattern, on the human activities. दोनों को separate करके बात कर सकते हैं. Arctic and Antarctic separately बात करना थोड़ा बहुत मुश्किल है क्योंकि human activities as well as weather pattern, if possible, if it is possible, you can talk. Otherwise, it's fine. Okay, you can talk about Arctic and Antarctic together for weather and Arctic and Antarctic together for human activities. So, what are the changes caused due to the melting of Arctic ice and Antarctic glaciers? What changes are happening in the weather pattern? Okay, let's try to separate it in the case of Arctic and Antarctic. The melting of ice in the Arctic region has resulted in the weakening of jet streams. It will impact the jet streams, because jet streams are basically driven by the temperature difference between the polar air mass and the tropical air mass. So जैसे जैसे वो temperature difference कम होते जाएगा, the intensity of jet streams would also decrease and the jet stream starts to meander too much. That results in the formation of weakening of polar vortex, which is also called as the outbreak of polar vortex, which causes freezing temperatures in the surrounding regions of Arctic, including America, including USA, Canada. बहुत नीचे तक cold temperatures आ जाता है during the winters. That is due to the outbreak of polar vortex. And during the summers, it results in a phenomenon called as heat dome. Due to the weakening of these jet streams, okay, it allows too much of this warm air from the tropical region to enter into the higher latitudes, and these meandering jet streams trap them. It covers them, resulting in the formation of heat domes. That is also impact of the melting of glaciers. That is, the melting of glaciers causes the difference of temperature between the polar region and the temperate regions, right? That causes the weakening of the stream. Uska side effects है polar vortex as well as heat domes. Then melting of Arctic ice also results in Arctic amplification. What is Arctic amplification? That is the faster melting of ice in Arctic region, because whenever there is ice, it will increase the outgoing reflected radiation. There is more amount of reflected radiation, there is more albedo, but because of the increased melting of ice, more amount of incoming radiation is observed. That is making the entire region warmer. That will further increase the melting of ice, which will trigger in an accelerated manner. So that is why the Arctic region is warming at double the rate than the global average, which we call it as Arctic amplification. That is also an impact of ice melting, glacier melting in Arctic region. And it also expected it will result in super storms, okay, very severe storms because of the higher temperatures in the polar regions. At the same time, the permafrost of Arctic region starts to melt, and that will impact the entire local ecology. And this release of permafrost, the permafrost के अंदर जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, मीथेन है, which will be released into the Earth's atmosphere, that will causes the increase in the greenhouse gas, and that will also change the local weather pattern. And most importantly, ये recently भी discuss हुआ था AMOC. What is AMOC? Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. Okay, this is the Atlantic Ocean's part of thermohaline circulation. That is also weakening due to the melting of Arctic ice. The Arctic ice and Arctic glacier melting is adding excessive amount of fresh water into the polar region, that is causing the temperature difference between the polar region and the temperate regions to reduce. That is also weakening the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, and because of the weakening of Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, the entire weather pattern of the Western European countries are going to change. At present, Western European countries are experiencing the milder winters and cooler summers. That is due to the presence of the North Atlantic drift, and this is going to be weakened due to the melting of Arctic ice. This has also been discussed in detail in our IPCC AR6. This in the context of Arctic Ocean. Antarctic Ocean का क्या impact रहेगा? See, Antarctic Ocean contains one of the largest proportion of ice in the world, and this ice has not melted for a very long period of time. Okay, it releases, if at all it starts to melt, it releases a huge amount of fresh water into the oceans, and that will disturb the entire water circulations of the earth. The entire thermohaline circulation of the earth would be disturbed. यहाँ पर AMOC का बात कर सकते हैं, यहाँ पर overall the global thermohaline circulation would be disturbed because the entire Antarctica is connected to all the thermohaline circulations belt of Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean as well as Indian Ocean, and that will also thermohaline circulation को disturb करेगा, and that will also causes the global sea level rise. Global sea level rise, as well as it will increase the feedback loop, because more melting of causes more addition of fresh water. More addition of fresh water disturb this ocean circulation, keeps the warm water near to the surface, and that further causes more melting of ice. It goes in a feedback loop and further deteriorates the entire condition. So if you can bring this difference, it's well and good. Otherwise, if you can talk about it as in a simple heading, single heading, but please try to bring the separation of weather as well as human activities. उसका जो separation है वो तो करना ही है आपको. This is about the weather. If I were to talk about the impact on the human activities, what are the various impacts on human activities due to the melting of ice and glaciers? Displacement of human communities, displacement of population, because a large number of coastal cities are going to get submerged due to the rise in the sea level. Best example is Jakarta. Jakarta is planning to shift their capital. Indonesia is planning to shift their capital from Jakarta. So that is due to the rise in the sea level over there. Such kind of incidents are going to increase, and more number of people have to get displaced due to the increased sea level. And the productive land, the fertile land which is available for agriculture and various economic activities are going to reduce due to the again submergence of water. And a large area of fisheries are going to reduce, because it is totally depend upon the balance between the warm water and cold water, and those regions wherever there is warm and cold ocean currents are meeting, one of the best conditions for the fisheries, right? And they are going to be disturbed due to the melting of ice. Fine. At the same time, it is also going to impact the resources extraction, and particularly there is a positive outcome here. Okay, Arctic Ocean is a home to a large quantity of oil and gas, and this melting of ice is going to open up a large area for the extraction of oil and gas. It is, in a way, it is going to increase the amount of resources available. At the same time, that is going to cause further negative impacts due to the extraction, due to the pollution, all of it. Uska jo bhi extraction part hai, you can bring both positive and negative here. And of course, it is going to impact the tourism, the entire coastal ecosystem, the coral reefs, the entire coastal life, which is causing a large number of tourists, and all of them are going to be impacted in a huge extent. And it is also going to open up new sea routes. It is also going to open up new sea routes surrounding Arctic region. Okay, and Russia is going to get benefited to a great extent due to the melting of ice of Arctic region, right? So you can bring all of these factors, and conclusion is very much required because this is a huge issue. In the conclusion, you can say that the entire Arctic and Antarctic ecosystem, which is very, very fragile, they are the first one to get impacted due to the rise in the global temperatures, the climate change, all of that, right? And it is not only the human beings who are under threat, it is the entire Arctic and Antarctic ecosystem, it is under threat, which is very, very fragile. It is very much required that we need to initiate a global cooperation in this context in order to save our cryosphere, it is Arctic and Antarctic ecosystem. You can also talk about the context of SDG 13, which is about the same. Okay, you can also bring SDG 13 also here, which is about protection. So that is conclusion. Last question. Discuss the multidimensional implication of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. So if this question was asked about the distribution of mineral oil, in that case I would have taken it, okay, it is an easy question, static part hai, isme zyada kuch karna nahi hai. But this is not just about the distribution, it is about the implication of distribution. It is not just about the distribution. If you have just written a map and shown these, okay, these are the regions jahan par distribution hai, khatam hai, nahi, you will not be getting the majority of the marks here. You might get 1 or 2 marks bas. The actual demand of the question is about the implications of the distribution of mineral oil. Okay, that is the major demand. So that is why you have to bring in a very brief manner the distribution of mineral oil only in the introduction. यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैप लिख सकते हैं. You can show the distribution of this mineral oil in different parts of the world. Okay, roughly, briefly, you don't have to make a list and show in a very detailed manner. ये ज़रूरी है ही नहीं है. A simple map and show the distribution, because that is the beginning part. Okay, uneven distribution कैसे हुआ है? Bring that introduction. Major regions कहाँ पर है? You can clearly see that the West Asia, the Middle East is one of the highest. 62% of the global oil and gas is concentrated in the Middle East. Okay, and total 13% is in this North Americas. And इसके अंदर OPEC बोल के है, OPEC है ना. OPEC has nearly 73% of the global oil reserves. So it is one of the most unevenly distributed resource on the surface of earth. You can clearly show it using a simple map or by giving these facts. Now come to the actual part of the answer. What are the implications of this? You can discuss the implications under different headings, which is very much required. तभी आपको clearly marks मिलेगा. Political implications, economical implications, social implication, environmental implications. What are the political implications? Political implications you can clearly see because of the uneven distribution. Few of the countries are rich, few of the countries are poor. जो countries जिसके पास oil and gas है, they make a good amount of money. Okay, best example African countries ले लो. Africa में भी there are many countries which have a good reserves of oil and gas. They make a lot of money in this. For example, Libya, one of the richest in terms of oil and gas. But compared to other countries, compared to Libya, other countries, they are not much. So that causes a political, the economic disparity between different countries, and that also results in conflict. Most of the wars of this, ये जो हमारा last 20-30 years में जो wars हुआ, they are all driven by oil. We know that, whether it is Gulf War or Iran-Iraq, so जो भी हुआ है, it is all driven by war. So politically, you can talk about the political disparities, or in terms of the conflicts, the wars, political tensions, all of this. And we also observe that in those countries which are excessively dependent upon the oil and gas, they have very rich supply of oil and gas. So there is some kind of authoritative government present over there, because it is one of the major source of money and they want to control that particular sector, and to whoever controls that, they would be in power. So it causes the concentration of power. It causes a kind of dictatorship, a kind of authoritarian government in that particular region. Political implication hai. At the same time, you can also bring the international relation, how the international relations are driven by oil and gas, the prices, the distribution, the price control, the transportation network, all of these decide the international relations, right? So that is political aspect. Economical aspect. Positives bhi hai. The discovery of oil and gas in the West Asia has resulted in the growth of these West Asian countries. है ना, UAE हो गया, Bahrain, Qatar, all of these, they're driving their economy based on these oil and gas. It's good. At the same time, there is negatives. Best example, Venezuela. They have this tendency to get over depend on a particular sector only. Okay, Venezuela, they are too much dependent upon the oil. That is what we call it as Dutchman disease. They will neglect all the other sectors. They will neglect all the other sectors, and only this sector is overemphasized. And if there is any kind of some variation in this particular sector, that will cause the collapse of the entire economy. So that is another negative, right? And you can also bring the transportation in the context of economical, because many of the transportation infrastructure projects are driven by the transportation of oil and gas. Since they are not uniformly distributed, you need a good transportation network in terms of the establishment of pipelines or the oil tankers. All of these are driven by the distribution of this oil and gas, right? That is economical angle. Environmental, okay, before environment, social angle bhi hai. Social angle, you can see that wherever there is too much of concentration of oil and gas, you see a displacement of people, you see migration of people, and people coming from outside other parts of the world to this part. Okay, best example le lo, hamara jo Indian immigrants who are working in Gulf countries, they are all driven by the presence of oil and gas over there, right? So it causes the migration, and that has both positive as well as negative. Both positive. It is a good source of income for many of the other countries. At the same time, it might result in local tensions between the immigrants and the local people, right? And it has also been observed that in few of the countries, wherever this rich supply of oil and gas and dependency on these few of the sectors is there, so there is not much gender equality and freedom in terms of the human rights is existing. Okay, there is a strict control because they want to control this sector. They want to show their power by controlling this sector. Whoever controls this sector will have the power, right? So they would not want to distribute the power, decentralize the power. So they will have a strict control on the human rights, as well as the gender equality aspect would also be there. Environmental impact, you can talk about the various environmental issues due to the extraction of oil, the noise pollution, soil pollution, the disturbance of water, and even the oil spill aspect, hai na, to the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. So all of this, you can bring this environmental angle. So these are the various implications, and conclusion, very much required. See, in the context of climate change and global warming, we are trying to move towards more cleaner forms of fuel and energy, which includes moving towards solar energy, wind energy, which will reduce our dependence on oil and gas. So this is going to be a solution in both the fronts, even to reduce the climate change, at the same time to reduce the impact of this uneven distribution. You can bring this point in the conclusion. Moving towards the cleaner forms of fuel is definitely can be taken as a solution to reduce this negative implications of uneven distribution of oil and gas. Okay, this is the last part. Now, finally, let's come to the source, the analysis part. So this is one of the major questions usually I face whenever we have exam, and students wants to know whether these traditional resources are sufficient to answer this question or not. So let's just see one by one. एक देखते हैं. The fourth question, you can see the differentiate the causes of landslides in Himalayan region and Western Ghats. See, this question you would have studied about this in NCERT. NCERT में आपको मिला होगा, but not the entire answer. In NCERT you would have found what are the reasons behind the landslides, and what is the nature of the physiography between the characteristics of physiography between the Himalayas and Western Ghats. ये difference तो आपको पता होगा. So using this knowledge which is given in NCERT, you have to apply your mind and write the answer. This is an application question where NCERT knowledge is sufficient to write the answer. You don't have to read anything else. Okay, you need to understand the concept in clarity, and if you had understood the concept in clarity, you can answer this. There is no need of anything else. Second, despite India being one of the countries of Gondwanaland, despite India being one of the countries of Gondwanaland, its mining industry contributes much less to its GDP. ये वाला question. You will not find any specific material NCERT में या कोई material में इसके बारे में बात नहीं किया होगा. You would have read about Gondwanaland, but the question is about the issues in the mining industry. It is little bit generic and current affairs. Okay, there is no specific source for this. It is totally from current affairs and little bit generic in nature. You need to understand in a general level what are the issues, and if you had analyzed the current issues, you can easily answer this. There is no need of specific source for this. Next one, what are the environmental implications of reclamation of water? Again, this is current based and generic in nature. There is no need of specific source. एक जगह में आपको नहीं मिलने वाला है. So it is little bit generic and थोड़ा सा आइडिया होना चाहिए अबाउट द अर्बन फ्लड्स. फाइन. Seventh one, mention the global occurrence of volcanic eruptions in 2020 and their impact on regional environment. And this is totally current plus application. Okay, application का मतलब है you need to think and write whatever you have understood based on that, whatever you have understood what the meaning of volcanic eruption, उसका मतलब क्या है ये सारा समझ के आपको लिखना पड़ेगा. Okay, that is what is application based. Okay, this is NCERT plus application based, this is current plus application based, this is totally from current affairs, this is totally from current affairs. Question number 8, why is India considered a subcontinent and elaborate? This is totally from NCERT. NCERT में जितना दिया है वो काफ़ी है, उसके बाद में आपने खुद लिखना पड़ेगा. Okay, nobody is going to give you any material for this. Okay, it is application oriented based on NCERT. 14, briefly mention the alignment of major mountain ranges of the world and explain their impact. Okay, this is also I would say NCERT plus application. Application, that means you have to think and write the answer. NCERT में जितना material दिया है वो काफ़ी है. How do the melting of Arctic ice and glaciers and Antarctic? So this is totally current affairs. Okay, this is current affairs related. And multidimensional implication of uneven distribution of oil. So this is ये actually ऐसे लगता है कि totally static based है, but ये static नहीं है. This is totally application based. Okay, मतलब you won't get a single particular source, but if you had read the basics thoroughly, you can answer this. But overall, you can see that there is no need for any other source. People would say सविंद्र सिंह पढ़ना है, ये पढ़ना है, वो पढ़ना है. इतना ज़्यादा डिटेल में जाने की ज़रूरी नहीं है. First thing, you should understand the basics of geography clearly. For that, NCERT and some little bit detailed understanding of the geophysical concepts. Okay, so for that any compilation, any material would be sufficient. And those हमारा जो classroom student है, I know that for them we have given sufficient material or even the class notes, that would be sufficient. Okay, no need to go beyond that. And in addition to that, yes, current affairs is a must. Current affairs is required. You can see that the role of current affairs, not in terms of a very direct one, except the mountain volcanic eruption छोड़ के दूसरी जगह में डायरेक्ट करंट अफेयर्स का रोल नहीं है, बट सिंस इट गिव्स यू मोर पर्सपेक्टिव, मोर डायमेंशंस इन योर आंसर राइटिंग इफ यू आर अवेयर ऑफ द करंट इवेंट्स, विच इज वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड. So whatever your traditional sources, NCERT and class notes, that would be sufficient. In addition to keep a track on current affairs, and beyond all of this, you need to write answers. Okay, you need to write answers because you can clearly see that none of the questions are totally direct. ऐसे textbook से लेके उठा के दे दिया है, ऐसे होता है कि सोच के लिखना पड़ता है. You have to think and write. For this, you need more answer writing. Fine, and this is overall analysis from my end. If you have any other queries, you can write to me at this mail ID, and if you want to connect, you can use this Twitter link also. I wish you all the best to those who have given mains. So definitely let's hope for better. All of you whoever have given mains, I really want to say you have done a wonderful job, because the situation was difficult, बहुत लोगों के लिए दिक्कत था, बहुत लोगों के लिए health issue था. In spite of that, you have gone and written. That's a very good job. So please be proud of that part, and you should move ahead to the next part. Start your interview preparation right now, because time will anyway run very fast. आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा, फिर रिजल्ट आ जाएगा, फिर टाइम बहुत कम रहेगा. Okay, and those who are going to write for the next year, so please keep these things in mind, whatever we have discussed, and start writing answers. Start writing answers. That is one of the very important things which you have to do. Okay, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.